Welcome to Miss Martin Muses and Catholicplaining. Prepare yourself. You are about to be Catholicplained. What are we Catholicplaining today? Why, it's relics. Because relics are really kind of cool and kind of weird. Or people, if you don't understand them, think they are very weird. They're not as weird as you might think. But our customs concerning them can be a bit disconcerting for people if they're not used to the whole idea of dead bodies, specifically dead bodies of the saints, because we believe they are not dead, but they are alive, just alive in a different realm. So if you have any questions about relics, please put them in the chat. Chris Sand says, good luck convincing people it's not weird. Oh dear. Oh dear. I will admit, maybe here in the United States, we're not as used to them. So, but if you go over to Europe, first of all, relics are everywhere. And second of all, they have, I think, a very strong tradition of, for lack of a better word, graves. They like their graves, and you're going to kind of see here that this is just kind of a bit of an extension of that. I mean, people go, they leave flowers at their loved ones' graves. If they feel like they need to go talk to a loved one, they'll go and stand in front of the grave. I like to think of the scene in Cobra Kai when Danny, he goes to Mr. Miyagi's grave to talk to him. Now, he could talk to Mr. Miyagi anywhere, but where does he go? He goes to his grave. Suspect, Chrysanth, what you're talking about, though, is like displaying parts of them. Or I remember when one of my favorite saints, the Little Flower, went on tour. She came on tour here to the United States. Let's have some etymology on the word relic. Oh, uh-oh. Okay. Watch me Google. I didn't even think about that. Let's see. Relic. Well, the definition of a relic is remains of a corpse. A remnant left after decay, disintegration, or disappearance. Okay. In that sense, from maybe a secular thing, like a relic from the Titanic, because it's at the bottom of the sea, maybe. Let's see. Etymology of word relic. It's also it's quite silly horror movie. Hey, it's from Italian, apparently. From the word replica. Oh, wait, that's replica. Well, screw you. This is why Google's evil. Okay, sorry, that wasn't very Christian-like. I try to be a good Christian, but it is from the Latin word reliquiae. The Old French is relique. English is very similar. Yeah, so that's that. The origin of the word, it means remains, and it is a form of the Latin verb relinquere, to leave behind or abandon. So there we have it. All right. So I'm going to put up here on my banners, what about relics would you like to be Catholicplained? And if you have some in particular, please go ahead and throw them up. I've seen a lot of the incorruptibles, and I wanted to get some pictures of the incorruptibles, but I'm afraid YouTube will flag it as like harmful content because some of them are pretty gruesome. I've seen Well, I've seen St. Vincent de Paul. I've seen St. Catherine Labouré. I've seen the severed head of St. Oliver Plunkett. When I did the tour of the cathedral in Drogheda, the tour guide said, and then somebody with a stronger stomach than I went and grabbed the head. St. Oliver Plunkett was a priest who was executed for being a priest. Yeah, you weren't allowed to be a priest. So he got beheaded and the people kept it. Stephen Ransom says, America is late to the game. The Indian burial ground is the closest most cowboys come to the Catholic stuff. Oh, very good point. Very good point. You are correct about that. Let me see. I am getting a message here. I don't know. Okay. Yeah. So what, but before I go into that tour guide of some relics and reliquaries. Reliquaries is reliquaries. Is that how you say it? Reliquary? Oh my gosh, I think I'm saying the Latin now. Where the actual body parts will be. I want to go into some of the biblical aspects of relics because it actually is very biblical and very evident in the Bible, in both the Old Testament and in the New Testament. Obviously, the coolest relic you can get is one from Jesus. Christiane said, aren't there a lot of relics from St. John Vianney? Yes, because he is incorruptible. I just haven't had the pleasure of seeing his body. So is St. Catherine Subaru. My fault. St. Bernadette Subaru. She is incorrupt, and parts of people are incorrupt. Like I said, St. Oliver Plunkett's head. I think St. Catherine of Siena is partially incorrupt. Sometimes people, one dude's tongue is. I don't know why his tongue. Who knows? It's all very mysterious. But what's really kind of cool about it is while people laugh and say, oh, that's just stupid, they're all being fooled. Even back in the Middle Ages and going back all the way to the early churches, we'll see the church has been very open to being questioned and criticized about the origins of these relics. They are very meticulously studied. And with modern science, they've actually allowed all sorts of stuff to happen to relics to check them out and see if they're authentic. You know, we have like DNA testing now. So we don't have a problem with a relic turning out to be fake. If it's fake, it's fake. And there were fake relics, which was a problem, especially in the Middle Ages when people would be all, oh, we're all starving or we need upkeep for our church. Woohoo, a relic. Howdy, howdy. Hello, Vermont Cheddar. Look, everyone's in here. Yeah, like I said, no severed heads. You can Google them, though. When I went to Drogheda, true story. I was the only Catholic in the group. I was with a bunch of Americans. They're usually on these tours in America. And it's like, oh, when we got to the relic of St. Oliver Plunkett, who I do have a devotion to, those priests were very brave in Ireland and in England. They usually died quite horribly. So I go and I light a candle. It's like, yeah, this is a relic. Gonna say a prayer to St. Oliver Plunkett. They thought it was weird, but it's like, okay, well, it is weird. Stephen Ransom says, the scientist in me understands the space-time reasons for a relic. That material is an actual connection to that time. Mm-hmm. Well, why do we love to go to museums? Why do we love to see ancient books? Even though I disagree with it, the the things that were picked up from the Titanic, why do people want to go see those? I think they should have left them. I felt like that was grave robbing, but neither here nor there. Everyone's waving to each other. I love it when people wave. All right, so before we get into some of the more nitty gritty, let's go into the Bible because I love the Bible. So, is this biblical? Is this idea of the holy people of God and their bodies, both their bones and blood and all that, as well as their secondhand relics and even third-hand relics? Is that foreign? Spoiler alert. I'm going to show you it's not. But the teacher in me wants to give you the definition because I just use the word things like first class relic, and maybe people don't know that. A first class relic is a body part of a saint, such as bone, blood, or flesh. That's what I'm saying. People think it's creepy. It's her finger. What's wrong with you weirdos? It's like, well, okay. Yeah, but a bone, the actual body. Gives a whole new meaning to primary source. Second class relic are can I speak? Possessions that a saint owned. I would add touched because that's what makes it, because they've touched this. So that's a second class relic. Second class relics are obviously more common than first class because there's probably even laws and regulations nowadays about dead bodies. You just can't carry around a dead body for fun. Third class relics are objects that have been touched to a first or second class relic, or the saint has touched him or herself. So let's just say I have a crucifix and I touch it to a first or second class relic. Then that is a third class, or the saint has touched this, him or herself. My goodness. Mr. Definition person, that could be taken wrong. So I stand corrected. I thought it was something that the saint had touched would be a second class relic, but apparently it is a third class. So a second class is one that they owned. You see, even I can make mistakes. Meaning, just because you know about something doesn't mean you won't know everything. Vermont Cheddar says, the more I shut up, the more you know I'm listening. Interesting. Yeah, it was kind of fun. Kind of fun. So let's get into the Bible. Yes, that's the book for me. This is referring to Jesus. Let's see. If it's something he owned, technically this would be a second class relic. We find when Jesus is going out healing people. This is Matthew 14:35 through 36. After the people of that place recognized him, they sent word through the region and brought all who were sick to him and begged him that they might touch even the fringe of his cloak. And all who touched it were healed. So the fringe of Jesus's cloak were healed by just touching that. The woman with the flow of blood was cured in that way too. If I could just touch the hem of his garment. See, Triple M makes mistakes. Blasphemy. No, I do make mistakes. Any scholar who thinks they know everything and are never wrong, ever, are big fat liars because it's just like medicine, practicing medicine. You can always be contradicted. You can always have even new information that you will have to change your thesis. But Mark 6:56. And wherever he went, that's Jesus, even into villages or cities, farms, they laid the sick in the marketplaces and begged him that they may even touch the fringe of his cloak. There we go. And all touch it were healed. Yeah. So I think those probably referring to very similar parts here. That's Jesus. Oh, and remember when he spits on the dude, like makes spittle from mud. That's another example. He uses real earthy things and it heals. But what about people that aren't Jesus? People that aren't God? This is from the Old Testament. This is Elisha, 2 Kings 13:21. Some dude's being buried. As a man was being buried, a marauding band was seen, and the man was thrown into the grave of Elisha. As soon as the man touched the bones of Elisha, he came to life and stood on his feet. So a dead guy was brought back to life by touching the bones of Elisha. How funny is this, though? You're at a funeral. This poor guy's trying to be buried, and a marauding band throws him and tosses the dead body, and it touches the bones of Elisha, and that made him come back to life. Yay! So the holy man Elisha was able to bring him back to life. Steve Ransom says, again, the scientists that look to how radioactivity and viruses transmit effects cause space contact or not. Oh, cool. Where could I touch an artifact? Good question. If you're talking about a relic, of course, first class relics, all of those you cannot touch. But what will happen occasionally during very controlled situations, the little reliquary thing, like they might touch it to your head or something. But just like anything that's old, you don't want it to be destroyed. Third class relics, though, are different, and I don't know how you do that. But that's a very good question. Now we got St. Peter. Acts 5:15. So that they even carried out the sick into the streets and laid them on cots and mats, in order that Peter's shadow might fall on some of them as he came by. So his shadow was part of the cure, or people wanting to be in his shadow. Because Acts doesn't say, and they suck because they did that because that's bad. No, it was like, no, look at this testimony. This great man of God, even his shadow could cure them. And St. Peter did also cure other ways. So very much like Jesus. But not understand Jesus is Jesus. He's the winner on all this. But we see that holy men and women of God also show this through the power of God. Acts 19:11-12. This is St. Paul. And God did extraordinary miracles by the hands of Paul, so that handkerchiefs or aprons were carried away from his body to the sick, and diseases left them, and evil spirits came out of them. So from our definitions, we know this would be a third class relic. So handkerchiefs and aprons would touch his body, and it would cure the sick, and evil spirits came out of them. So this is nothing extraordinary. Is there a relic that I could try? I need healing only, half kidding. Well, just look it up. usually in basilicas. These are all very well documented and they're on public display. We're going to talk a little bit about the public display of it and the free nature. So we see this in the Bible, we see it in the Old Testament, we see it in the New Testament. Nothing extraordinary about it. And then some testimonies from the early church. You'll find a lot of them from the first martyrs, the ones that were the Christians that were killed in the Colosseum. And that's how the catacombs became the catacombs they are today, because the Christians would secretly meet in the catacombs and celebrate mass over the bodies of the martyrs. That's why it's still custom to have a relic in every altar where mass is celebrated in honor of that. True story. Any Catholic church, ask. They'll tell you. They'll tell you about which relics in the altar. So they say, we took up his bones, Polycarp, which are more valuable than precious stones and finer than refined gold, and laid them in a suitable place where the Lord will permit us to gather ourselves together as we are able in gladness and joy, and to celebrate the birthday of his martyrdom. Hello, Christian Ball. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Go Italy, I'm assuming. Yes, we love Italy. Oh, yeah, you want to see some relics. Yes, we love Italy here at Miss Smart Muses. Many other contemporary testimonies are there too. Just don't have them off the top of my head. Now let's get into looking at some of them, the ones that we're allowed to look at. This is not my picture. This is a relic of the True Cross, which is mocked frequently. However, if you look into it, not a lot of scoffing may need to happen, because you want to talk about one of the most documented relic of all. It is the True Cross. That Saint Helena, when she went and did this big old excavation, all of that. And people have actually traced every single splinter from that, because people have done better to do with their spare time. People that are into it are into it. And up to today, who did the definitive study? I think it was in 1896, 86, that they concluded for all of the documented cases of relics from the True Cross, that or things that are purporting to be part of the True Cross, do not make up a full cross. You know how there was that really bad joke about, oh, it would, all the relics, you would make barges from them. It's like, actually, no. So if you see something that purports to be a part of the True Cross, especially today, you can probably be reasonably assured it is. And I say reasonably assured because we're talking about a long time and passing through all these different hands, but very well documented. Were there fakers? You bet there were. And that's what caused a lot of scandal, not just of relics of the True Cross, but all sorts of relics. They were shameless about it. And because of the awfulness of that and the scandal of it, there were lots of things that had to be put in place to safeguard. Particularly after the Catholic Reformation, or it was part of the Catholic Reformation, because it was such a scandal to the faithful. So nowadays, for example, to answer a little bit of the earlier question, you cannot charge money for anything. Well, first of all, that's simony, but you cannot charge money for admittance to see a relic. That relics have to be freely available to all. Same way you cannot charge admittance to a church, you cannot charge admittance to a shrine, you cannot charge admittance to pay this and you will see this relic. Okay, it's absolutely forbidden nowadays. What you might see if you go to a shrine or where there is a relic, they may say, for the upkeep of the building and all that, please feel free to give a goodwill donation in the collection box. But that's completely voluntary. Churches are always open, they're always free, as are access. Any restrictions on some of these relics just concerns the safety for the integrity of it, and we're gonna see this with some of the relics of the little flower that I have pictures. They just have to be careful. Because if everyone went around touching them, or they just people would probably steal them. People are weirdos. Hello, everyone. Sorry I was driving around enjoying the topic. Oh, well, thank you, Ubaldo. Thank you for being here. I definitely appreciate it. So here is a reliquary of the True Cross. Like any relic, though, you don't have to believe it. Let's just say you're listening to this and you're like, Teresa, you crazy. That's some grade A bull. You can certainly believe that. No problem. What if you are one of the faithful, you have to acquiesce to, though, is the idea of veneration of relics, because it's biblical. Similar to what I said in Catholicplaining Exorcism, when I said you don't have to believe that someone was possessed by a demon of any particular case, but the possibility of it being so, again, because it was laid out in scriptures. Stephen Ransom says the Maltese cross in the detective novel The Maltese Falcon, they get into how crazy these checks can be, and that's just some Egyptian thing. Yes, when you say checks, are you talking about, I'm not sure entirely what you're saying. I don't know if that's a typo, or help me out. Just help me out. And of course, nowadays, oh, you bet they're nuts about science. I'm not sure it's a relic. I guess it would be. Never mind, it would be a relic. The Shroud of Turin. All sorts of tests are still being done on that as we get more technology, and the church has no problem. Because people would look like fools. No one wants to have something that's fake. And the church actually will never definitively say this is a relic of this, because that's not something that you can definitively say. It's out of the jurisdiction of the church. But is there a reasonable belief? Yes. Some relics I saw when I was in Rome sounded a little skeptical to me. However, as it was explained to me, is they don't want to destroy them or do anything to the integrity of the relic because of the possibility it's real. Because if you can't tell if it's real, it's like, maybe this is BS, maybe it's not, but if it's real, we don't want to destroy it. So just use your reason. Why, hello, Timon. Hello, Meteor Advocate Timon. It is so good to see you. The certifications, yes. It just occurred to me, I don't know if I have a secondhand relic, or I think I do. I need to Google this, because I have a crucifix that was blessed by Saint John Paul II. Friend of mine got it for me. She met the Pope. And also a miraculous medal. My gosh. I keep them in a nice little box. Maybe I should have a picture of that because I know it's special, but I don't know if that's considered a relic. Hmm, who knows? But yes, modern day, very easily. Well, you've got people like children of saints are still alive because people live longer. Look, Stieg is here. You might have missed the part, Stieg, where I said you're not going to get to see any severed heads. I do have a picture of the severed head, but I don't want to show it. Hello, Teresa. Hope you are well. I am well. We're talking relics. St. Oliver Plunkett is awesome. I love that dude. But yes, Buffy is God. They don't test them. And then, boy, do I have a relic for you. It's wood from. Oh, maybe you missed what I just said earlier. But yeah, like I said, you don't have to believe. You don't have to believe anything. This is, but you do have to. Well, if you if you're looking at the Bible, believe that the possibility of it is so. All right, here's some Teresa of Avila. I love Teresa of Avila. She is my spelling namesake. And I've gotten some crap before because it's like if you're gonna call yourself Teresa, it needs to be TH. If it's TER, it needs to be Teresa. I'm like, I'm kind of aware of that. But I love Teresa of Avila. She is a doctor of the church, did some incredible writing. And this is a relic from Teresa of Avila. I'm not even sure which one this is because looks like a secondhand relic, perhaps, but here's a little reliquary thing. So remember when I said that they protect them? And if you want to touch something like this, again, they might touch the reliquary. This is when you carry around. I guess I'll put a picture of a relic on my TV. Okay. Why would I see severed heads? Oh, the St. Oliver Plunkett is a first class relic that I personally have seen in Drogheda, just outside of Dublin, that he was beheaded during the penal days, when Catholicism was outlawed in Ireland and England. And if you were a priest, you were automatically executed. And somebody saved his head and kept it. And then, oh gosh, it's a long story. But I'm just saying that's a picture I'm not putting up. Okay. I don't believe in any religious relics, says Meter Africa Timon. The church used to sell them like things in a gift shop. Well, yeah, I just told you about that. Oh, maybe you missed that. I'm sorry. I went through the history of it. Yes, and it was horrible. Yeah, that's why during the Catholic Reformation there was really some overhauls, which is why today they're so fussy. And I should also add that you cannot even sell anything that is blessed anymore. So this is why it is custom when you receive when you get a rosary or a Bible or something, a sacramental, that you yourself have to take it personally to a priest to get it blessed because of those abuses. And it is also so open to corruption, which is why it's so regulated nowadays. Matt G is here. Mhm. Let's see. Oh, Your Commodore 64. Actually, technically it is. I've just yeah. Okay, like I said, I think you missed it, Timon. Yeah, I talked about that earlier. Okay, let's go ahead and continue. So this is a again, I'm not sure which one this is. It's probably a secondhand relic. Yeah, see, and this is where I think sometimes the difference between first, second, and third. The vast majority of what people call relics are really second and third. Hey, this is my pick. So this is in Bayeux. This is a reliquary, and I think this might be a first class relic of Catherine of St. Augustine. Oh dear, I probably really, really mispronounced that. I am very sorry for all of my French people who are hurting from what I said. And there's a little flower. That's my gal. This is not in Lisieux where she is from. This is in Bayeux. That because she is the patron of France, the co-patron of Saint Joan of Arc, you'll see her everywhere. And look, roses and flowers. And over here in the corner is the little reliquary thing for her. And lots of people lighting candles. So, and again, admission for all of these things, it has to be free because of some of those abuses that happened in the past. And they are displayed for veneration and not held back. And next, this is technically, I guess, a relic because this is her entire body. Now, that's not her body, by the way. Saint Therese of Lisieux is not at all incorrupt, but this is her grave. And then they have a layout of her, and this is actually taken from a photograph because her sister took a photograph of her after she passed away. People used to do that. They used to take pictures of their loved ones in their coffins and stuff. So yeah, this is the whole body. It's behind a grill. Again, I said because you want to keep the integrity of it, just like any grave. Any grave is secure. So there's a little grill here, lots of flowers and roses, and they're her parents because her parents also are saints. So this is one I took. Now this is secondhand relics of Saint Therese. In the most common you will find. It is items that she owned and or used. Again, these are all very well documented. There's a very good reason why it was for Therese. If you look at what happened almost immediately after her death, they knew something was up. But also recall that in Carmelite monasteries, they don't have a lot of things and they share. So would like this paddle have been Saint Therese's? No, but it was the one that everyone was using. And then when people started seeing something was up with Therese, once her book went viral, the equivalent of going viral, they were like, dude, get the paddle, get the this. So these are things that she would have used and that after her death would have also been used with others. So those are shoes and a few other things. I have some pictures of her costume. Oh, yeah, because she did a costume of Saint Joan of Arc. That's also secondhand relic because that happened very, very quickly. Oh, look. If this would be a relic or grave, if this were Prince Charming and Snowing, but no, this is actually from another presentation. So that's the end. If you would like to see some of the incorruptibles or some of the other ones that I spoke of, you're just going to have to Google it because I think that YouTube will just see this chick is showing dead bodies, and that's an issue. But it's loads of fun. So that is relics. Like I said, if you missed the beginning of the presentation, I went through a lot of it and explained it. We're coming up on 40 minutes. I'm thinking of many different topics that some people might be interested in. So go ahead and put in the chat if there's something else you would like to have Catholicplained. I went through a lot of the big ones and all the ones that were already suggested. Dang YouTube centers. Well, yeah. Well, to be fair to them, they would be like, "What the heck is that?" Whatever AI or algorithm that they have, it's just not gonna, just not gonna. It's not gonna know the difference. And I'm just keep thinking, my goodness gracious, I'm sitting here and I don't know. Imagine losing my channel because I showed St. John Vianney. I think it said Vianney. I think it's Vianney because he's French. The poor French. I pronounce French very poorly. Stephen Ransom says Western squamous silliness, bodies and breastfeeding. Yes. Well, like I said, to be fair, it could be a situation of not understanding. And I'm cool with that. And maybe it would actually be quite kind of disturbing to show. But the ones that I have personally seen have been St. Oliver Plunkett, St. Vincent de Paul, and St. Catherine Labouré. Good ladies, good chicks. A lot of them you'll find in Paris. Oh dear. I hope they're keeping them safe because we've got issues, obviously. Well, okay then. All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for coming in as usual. We had, Stephen Ransom, we had Chrysanthemum, Feeds God, Stieg, Meteor Advocate Timon, Matt G, Howdersaurus 76. Let me see, Ubaldo T, and Kristen Ball. If I missed anyone, Vermont Cheddar, Gravy D, always good to see everybody. And again, please drop something that you would like to have Catholicplained. Again, remember, this is just me explaining what it is. And I always leave it up to everyone, as always, to take from it what you will or take from it what you won't. Thank you, Stephen Ransom. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great day. And be certain to always do your research when you are looking for relics, be them holy or even the secular kind. Oops. My outro isn't working. Here we go.